The boss jock has entered the building. You are listening to the Sportcat Show.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. You have the one, the only Sportcat, often imitated but never replicated. We are live on the YouTubes. We are live in Australia. Good morning to Australia listeners, and we're live on Yerg's Radio. Everybody come over and join the chat and hit that thumbs up and subscribe button because we got a great chat. Hello, good afternoon, Denise. Wendell, he's going postal at the post office. We're glad you're here. And let's see, I got a ton of comments today. Well, let's see. I don't want to air anybody's dirty laundry, but okay. Well, Wendell, we don't want you feeling bad. Get better, my friend. So, and I would like to, hello, Chris, welcome. I would like to thank everybody, especially my regulars in the chat. Yesterday, well, actually last night, we had a great show on the Paranormal Guys, and I had a couple of my regular listeners, and you can go back and listen to the first hour. It got kind of emotional. It was a great hour. I actually plan on extending that conversation to another show with Mark Anthony, the Australian ventriloquist, and get Doug back. So I think it'll be a great show. I'm going to start working on that today. I'm going to message both of them and try and work out times and days, and we will advertise it in advance so we can get everybody over in the chat, because we had such a great chat last night on the show, and it was so educational, informal. And if you don't know your personalities here, like me and Cheyenne and Harley, you got to know a little bit behind the curtain. So it was a good show, kind of eye-opening for everybody. We all got to share a little bit, and I think you'd enjoy it. So go back and check out the first hour if you don't check out anything else. The first hour was great. The second hour was very great. Very great. That's poor English. Very good. Excellent. It was great. How about that? Because we had Tong. I'm probably butchering it, and I apologize if she's listening, but she told us a lot about China culture that people just didn't know or realize, and I think it was very eye-opening. So and I really do appreciate my regulars in the chat for opening up. Wendell, you're good, brother. I know you had things to do, so all right, well, let's see what we got going on here today. And everybody needs to remind me at the top of the hour, I have a new button I have to push. So it's the price of becoming famous. Yeah, whatever. All right. It is currently 1:09 or 17:09 Eastern. Good morning to Denver. It's 11:09 a.m. California, good morning, 10:09 a.m. Phoenix, well, you're just lagging in there too. Anchorage, 9:09. Hang on, Hawaii, it's 7:09 a.m. In Australia, Perth, you're listening to us overnight. It's 1:09 a.m. Sydney, 3:09 a.m. And, well, if you happen to be in the UK, it's 6:09. And if I've picked up any listeners from Asia last night, it's 1:09 a.m. in China. Tokyo, 2:09. Welcome and good morning. So let's see what else we got going on here today. We always start off with just a tad bit of history. Let's go here and talk about what happened on this day in history. Well, speaking of Asia, in 1461, the Ming Dynasty, the Chinese military general Cao Quan stages a coup against the Tichuan Empire. 1714, the Battle of Gangut, Russian Navy wins its first major victory during the Great Northern War against Sweden. I hope we don't have a repeat. 1782, commander of the Continental Army, George Washington, creates 2 honorary badges of distinction and a badge of military merit, which is now known as the Purple Heart. It's the first time military awards are presented to common soldiers. So commoners, that's horrible. So, all right, 1955, Tokyo Telecommunications Engineering, the precursor to Sony, begins selling its first transistor radio in Japan. I'm going to see if I can mute that because that chat's going to start going crazy, and I think I can mute it. All right. Let me know if I killed my audio. So, all right. So let's see here. Looks like I'm still going out. I think I'm going out. Yeah, you can still hear me. I think. All right. Wow. Operation Desert Shield. U.S. troops deployed to Saudi Arabia, beginning the operation of Desert Shield. Man, that seems like yesterday. 1990. All right. Today in music, 2009 single TikTok is released by Keisha. It's the Billboard Song of the Year in 2010. In 1929, New York Yankees slugger, Babe Ruth tied the MLB record by hitting grand slams in consecutive games for the second time in a 13-1 win against the Philadelphia Athletics. Well, I saw something last night. I started to send it to you, Chris, because I knew you would enjoy it. They had a new uniform for the Yankees, and it had their logo, the NY on the top, and then it was the colors of a metal tin garbage can. 1560. If you don't hate the Yankees, I'm sorry, you should. As an Orioles fan, I really do. So 1560, Elizabeth Bathory is born. Well, she's a Hungarian noblewoman and alleged serial killer. She was accused of torturing and murdering hundreds of women and young girls between 1590 and 1610. More than 300 individuals described seeing evidence of these crimes, but others believe the accusations were fabricated to destroy her family's influence in the region. Nevertheless, she was imprisoned in the castle of Saint in 1610, where she died 4 years later. In 1782, so I'm sorry, Denise. I'll try and be nice. And it's just it's really more of the Orioles' fault because they kind of suck. So in 1782, George Washington, we talked about, he created the Purple Heart. There were only 3 recipients during the Revolution. The badge was forgotten until 1932, when it was reestablished as the modern Purple Heart that is awarded to military members who were wounded or killed in battle. In 1876, Mata Hari is born. She had a fascinating story. Exotic dancer turned spy, Margarita Gertruda Zell, better known by her stage name, Mata Hari, is born in the Netherlands. She gained instant success as a dancer in Paris in the early 1900s due to her beauty and her willingness to appear virtually nude in public. During World War I, however, she was accused of spying for Germany. She was executed by a French firing squad in 1917. And I've seen some fabulous, I'm assuming it's AI or enhanced photos of her, and she was gorgeous. Wendell says, why what? Why do we hate the Yankees, or why do the Orioles suck? It's a question we've pondered for years. 1947, Thor Heyerdahl completes his voyage across the Pacific in a raft. Wow. Norwegian adventurer Thor Heyerdahl completes his Kon-Tiki expedition after traveling from Peru to the Tuamotu Islands in the French Polynesia on a homemade wooden raft. The aim of the 5,000-mile journey across the Pacific Ocean was to prove that ancient people could have made it similarly in long voyages. He and 5 others completed the trip in 101 days, and the raft can be seen today in the Kon-Tiki Museum in Oslo, Norway. That's fascinating. 1947, the Winchester Mystery House becomes a historical landmark. Winchester Mystery House in San Jose, California, is added to the National Register of Historical Places. The design of this labyrinth home came from the mind of Sarah Winchester. She's the heiress to the Winchester rifle fortune. Fearing that the spirits of those killed by her guns would haunt her forever, she made plans to build a complicated maze of a home in California. The home eventually became a 7-story mansion. To confuse her alleged spirits, Winchester had contractors build rooms with windows that overlooked other rooms. Meanwhile, the home had multiple staircases, all with differently sized risers. and the one-of-a-kind home is available for tours to this day. Yeah, that's a fascinating story, too. So, let's see. So that raft looks like it was made from the leftovers from Sanford and Son. Yes, yes, yes. Wendell says he wants to know why does niece love the Yankees and why do you love the Cookie Birds? Well, I grew up in Washington, D.C. We didn't have the Nationals. We only had the Orioles. And I used to listen to them on AM radio and listen to the games. I would occasionally watch them on black and white TV, but that was my first love of baseball, was listening to them on AM radio. And yeah, Andy may have blackmailed me into it, so we can't talk about that, Chris. All right, so 1985, the White House farm murderer Jerry Bamber shoots and kills his parents, sister, and 2 nephews in Essex, England, what becomes known as the White House farm murders. He slaughtered his family in the middle of the night, then called to the police and said his schizophrenic sister, Sheila, had killed them all before turning the gun on herself. In the end, the 24-year-old was convicted of 5 counts of murder and sent to 25 years in prison. Wow. All right, let's see. Another button here. Okay, so it's National What Is Today? Wendell. Somebody needs to go wake up Brenda and Andy and get them over here. It's National IPA Day. It's the first Thursday in August. And IPA is better known as India Pale Ale. We'll do a little deep dive on it for a second here. It took me a while to like IPA. And then once I did, I really liked it. It was developed out of the idea from the 1700s when shipping ale to India, adding hops to the beer increased the longevity of the brew. Brewers thought the hops preserved the beer for long voyages to hot climates. One London brewer gained attention for his ability to brew this particular style of beer. George Hodgson shipped many casks of pale ale from India to London. However, no one knows for sure when or who coined the term IPA. Brewers ferment, good Lord, barley to make IPAs. Depending on the length of the fermentation, the tannins may cause some bitterness in the beer. Even after adding the hops, the IPAs have a reputation of being bitter and hoppy. Not all are. They all tend to be very crisp beers. Yes, they do. And the IPA is one of the most popular type of craft beers, making a resurgence with microbreweries. Many are experiencing success as brew finds its way to local pubs and restaurants. We're talking about that, Wendell. We're actually talking about that. So we'll see. Let's see. So IPA, IPA is an acquired taste. So I kind of like it. It's Purple Heart Day. We just talked about that. National Raspberries and Cream Day. I feel like they're cheating. Didn't we already have one of them? National Sea Serpents Day. Ooh. National Lighthouse Day. I wonder if it's ironic they're both on the same day. And it's Aged Care Employee Day. Does that mean you take care of your old employees, or the old employees take care of the old people? I don't know. Battle of Boyacá. Côte d'Ivoire Independence Day. Cycle to Work Day. I think if I lived in a bigger city, I would probably have done that. It's IPA Day. And it's Ivory Coast Independence. National Lighthouse Day. National Sea Serpents, particularly preposterous packing day. Funny story about that. A person I follow, he has a contest. He's a public information officer for a fire department, and he has a competition where, since he's a real outspoken public information officer, he's known pretty well in emergency services. He has people sending him odd items, and the only rules to the competition are the only thing you can put on it is the address and a stamp. You don't put it in a box. You don't put it, and he's got everything from basketballs to hula hoops, rocks. He gets all kinds of weird things. And so when I get famous one day, I'll have to get a P.O. box because I'm not giving all y'all my home address. I'm going to start that competition for myself because I think it's really cool because it shows you can pretty much put a stamp on anything and it'll get there. Professional Speakers Day. Well, that wouldn't be me. And we talked about Purple Heart Day. So there you go. All right. So what else here? Well, we're going to jump into the news. And, well, many have feared this. This comes to us from Cyber News. Parts of the U.S. Constitution quietly vanish due to a, quote, coding error. They're mysteriously vanishing from Congress' official website this week, erasing some civil liberties and reigniting public distrust. Part of the U.S. Constitution vanished from Congress's official website, only to be restored hours later. The Library of Congress confirmed on Wednesday that a, quote, coding error, caused several sections of Article 1 of the Constitution to vanish from the constitution.congress.gov, the site that hosts the official U.S. Constitution Annotated Project. The missing text included roughly 650 words from Section 8, all of Section 9 and 10. These sections are key to the founding document that outline congressional powers and limits. Among the temporarily erased documents or content was Congress's authority to raise a navy and suppress insurrections, the right to habeas corpus, and restrictions on state powers. Missing sections, including the clause that permitted the slave trade until 1808, a ban on bills of attainder, I'm not sure what that is, and several key limits on the powers granted to individual states. Some users on the internet pointed out the eerie coincidence that the vanished text dealt with core civil liberties and federal limits, prompting speculation that maybe it was done on purpose. It's not a F-up, it's deliberate. The website has been up for many years. The only reason to adjust the site is to deliberately edit it, wrote one Redditor. While the incident did not change any laws and the Constitution itself obviously remains intact, it underscores the vulnerability in how foundational documents are stored and accessed digitally. Access to these vital texts is crucial for a democratic society, as a civic literacy depends not only on laws, but also on the servers that host them. Another Redditor pointed out that the Congress page is one of the first links that appears in most search engines when people search for the Constitution. It currently presents users with an incomplete version of the Constitution that explicitly excludes portions pertinent to the current administration's actions and rhetoric. Unfortunately, we are past the stage where the current administrator and his, quote, MAGA Congress deserve the benefit of the doubt, another Reddit user said. This is exactly the childish, self-serving denialism that this administration actively engages in, be it with climate data, historic profiles of intellectual Black Americans, or any else that appears on a whim. Other Redditors disagreed that it was done on purpose. Other parts should have been deleted, not the ones missing. The Library of Congress confirmed on Wednesday that the coding error was to blame for the incident. It was brought to the attention that some sections of the Article 1 are missing from the Constitution Annotated website, the library wrote on Blue Sky. We learned that this is due to a coding error. We've been working to correct this and expect it to be resolved soon. The missing text had been restored in one section of the site. A notice posted to the Constitution Annotated homepage warned of ongoing data issues, but reassured users that repairs are in progress. What do you guys think? So, let's see. Yes, I do need that. I do need that P.O. box. Yes, I don't want any more kids showing up for rides to school. That's rough. So, if you're a longtime listener, you know the inside on that. Let's see. Is Hillary back at it again? Well, that's only emails. Let's see. KG is here. Welcome, KG. And Chris wrote, the Reddit guy thinks the Constitution would change because of a website. Yeah. Where has he had his head buried? You know, I have one friend that was in an intelligence agency, and he said the push to have children not read and write cursive was intentional because most founding documents and most historic documents are written in cursive and in, we'll call it the old only the educated people could read cursive writing, and they were the ones that relayed it to the public. It's all in translation, I guess. Okay, well, in case you didn't know it yesterday, your Instagram now lets you share your location. Yeah, okay. So on August 6th, it rolled out a new feature that will give users access to their friend's location and vice versa through a map feature. The platform has allowed users to share their locations in posts and stories. Its latest feature takes it a step further by users sharing their real-time location. They say the new map feature is available to U.S. users starting today, which was yesterday at the time of publish, with global availability coming soon. So you want to go and make sure. It says its automatic default is not sharing, but like all apps, you probably need to go in and check. So open your inbox and Instagram, tap on the map feature, and kind of look there to turn on and off location services. So, and once you go there, it'll also ask you to open your apps or settings app and then choose it next time when I share or while using the app or always. So once you've opted to share your location, it will be updated every time you open the app or return to it while it runs in the background. So it says it's automatically off, but we found out that it's not always true. Meta says the new feature was designed to be a lightweight way to connect and emphasizes that location sharing is off unless you opt in. Still, some users are raising concerns about what this means for safety. Yes, agreed. So you can go online and find out how to turn it off. You just open your inbox, tap the icon of the map, and then check turn on or turn off. So if you have an Instagram account, wouldn't hurt to check and see if it is in fact disabled. So yes, Chris, that was something that was told to me by an intelligence officer. He said it was an intentional thing by elected officials. So who knew? And why don't hackers go delete everyone's departments? They're working on it. The medical industry is being attacked and hacked every day. All right, so the MLB is coming up to the next century and naming the first woman to umpire a regular season major league game. They announced that a minor league veteran umpire will become the first female ever to work in the regular season majors. Jen Paul, and I guess I'll have to pay for more. I should have looked at that. But at any rate, Axios is reporting that the MLB has got their first female umpire. So congratulations to her. I hope she does a great job. She's going to have some uphill battles. Google is to provide free AI training to every college student in America, pledging $1 billion. Google on Wednesday announced a 3-year, $1 billion commitment to provide artificial intelligence training and tools to the higher education institutes and nonprofits. There's some key words there, Chris. Higher educational institutions. So only certain ones are going to get this, meaning the more well off. And they're going to learn how to teach the others. Kind of like cursive writing. This includes making our AI and career training free for every college student in America through AI for Educational Accelerator. CEO said in the announcement, knowing how to use the technology will also serve these students well as they transition to the world of work. So far, more than 100 universities have signed on to the initiative, including some of the nation's largest: Texas A&M, University of Michigan, Ohio, University of Virginia, and University of North Carolina. University of Alabama opted out because their typewriter couldn't accept it. No, I'm kidding. Excited to make our best AI tools free for college students in the U.S. and other select countries for a year only, and provide $1 billion in funding to education and research, including free AI and career training for every college student in America. $1 billion figure also includes the value of paid AI tools, including an advanced version of the Gemini chatbot called Guided Learning. So the new mode in which Google can give to college students is free, acts as a learning companion, guiding you with questions and step-by-step support instead of just giving you the answer. To develop the new learning version, Google said it has worked closely with students, educators, researchers, and learning experts, ensuring the model is helpful for students to understand new concepts backed by learning science. He said the initiative was deeply important to him personally. Having regular access to computers in grad school changed my life and led me on the path to Google. It is my hopes that bringing the best AI tools to college will open up new worlds for them. As part of the investment, participating schools may receive cash funding and resources such as cloud computing credits for AI training for student and research on AI-related topics. Google hopes to expand the program to every accredited nonprofit in discussing similar plans in other countries, according to Google. He declined to specify on how much they're earmarking and direct funding to external institutions relative to footing its own cloud and subscription bills. So the announcement comes as rival like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Amazon. I didn't know Amazon had an AI. Made similar pushes around AI. By evangelizing their products to students, tech firms further stand to win business deals once the users enter the workforce. Okay, interesting. I didn't know Amazon had AI. Good Lord. Everybody's got AI. So which one do you trust? I mean, which one is the real one? That's weird. All right. I still can't read. You're correct. That's why I need AI, Wendell. Chris says they're going to put her behind the plate or down a third baseline. There's a big difference in job responsibilities. Don't they actually rotate them, Chris? Like every game, they rotate the bases? Or is that an earned spot behind home plate? And Wendell says, I can't wait for AI to teach people to misspell everything. I live with spell check daily. All right, yesterday we broke this story as we went live. In fact, it started just as the time we went on the air. The soldier accused of shooting his 5 coworkers at a U.S. Army base has been identified as Army Sergeant Cornelius Radford. He's 28, and he's in custody after allegedly opened fire at his workplace in Fort Stewart in southeast Georgia Wednesday morning. He had been arrested for DUI in May, and the shooting broke out Wednesday morning at around, 11 a.m.? The shooting rampage started at the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team area just before 11, prompting the brief lockdown at the base. Disturbing audio revealed the high-pressure moment a dispatcher urgently directed first responders to the 2ABCT. There are possibly 5 patients. They have both of their EMS trucks on the scene, the dispatcher said. The scene is clear. Everything is secure. We don't know who has what. Police said at the press conference on Wednesday that the 5 wounded soldiers were all hospitalized, now in stable condition. Without hesitation, a soldier with previous ties to Florida was taken into custody at 11:35 a.m. Said the soldiers at the base immediately jumped into action when the gunman opened fire. Soldiers in the area that witnessed the shooting immediately, without hesitation, tackled the soldier, subdued him, said Brigadier General John Lubis, who's the commander of the 3rd Infantry Division, Fort Stewart Army Airfield. That allowed law enforcement to then take him into custody. So the shooting timeline, the 5 soldiers were shot at the Fort Stewart Hunter Army Airfield in southeast Georgia on Wednesday. At 10:56, police are called for a possible shooting in the 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team area. And then Fort Stewart was locked down at 11:04. 11:09, EMS is dispatched to treat wounded soldiers. 11:35, the shooter is taken into custody. 12:10, lockdown is lifted of the main cantonment area. Radford was previously arrested in May for DUI, police records show. Police said they haven't learned more about his motive, but that the gunman allegedly shot at his coworkers. It did involve his coworkers. We're still not certain about the motivations. Lockdown is lifted for soldiers, and they were warned to stay inside and lock their doors. Several elementary schools in the area, schools in general, were locked down. So base is located 40 miles southwest of Savannah in Georgia and is the largest post east of the Mississippi with more than 15,000 soldiers. So, of course, the president was briefed. Governor Kemp was briefed. And, of course, GBI and the FBI were all briefed. And a lot of people send the prayers ones. And let's see. Chris says they rotate, but they say she is doing one game, so I wonder. So I was just, well, I don't know. I should have done more research instead of bringing that up. You need to come on your show and be a co-host? Well, I'll do it. I ain't scared. In fact, next Monday, I'm going to be doing, what is it, the Best Damn Podcast, I think, at like 7 p.m. Monday night. I'll have to tell you more as we get closer, but it'll be posted on my social medias. So glam Russians arrested after TikTok videos in front of burning oil terminal hit by Ukraine. I did not know this was a thing. Russian police have detained 2 girls who were filming TikTok videos against the backdrop of the burning oil depots in Sochi, Russia, the main resort city after Ukraine launched a major strike. Some 30 huge explosions led to a massive inferno at the facility close to the main airport, often used by Vladimir Putin. Sochi suffered a drone attack by the Kyiv regime last night. The governor of Russia's Krasnodar region, Vitamin Konditiev, said on Telegram, the Luti long-range drone, I butchered that, led to a major disruption at Sochi's airport, with more than 50 tourist planes diverted or delayed and waiting passengers evacuated to an underground bomb shelter. In the video, 21-year-old Dasha and 19-year-old Karina can be seen smiling and singing along to Mayaga's track Raspberry Dawn in front of the glow of the fire caused by the UAV attack. According to the post on Telegram, after the video was published online, the police conducted an investigation and the girls were arrested. The video was posted by public pages, with many calling for the girls to be forced to apologize for their actions. It comes after the regional governor said drone debris hit a fuel tank at an oil depot, and 127 firefighters were tackling the blaze on Sunday, which was later put out. Russian authorities said the drone attack on the refinery was one of several launched by Ukraine over the weekend. Kyiv said that it would intensify airstrikes in Russia in response to an increase in Russian attacks on its territories in recent weeks, which have killed dozens of civilians. Meanwhile, Russians gained and bombed a key bridge in Ukraine. This is a tit for tat, so they're still shooting each other. So Ukraine has not commented on the strikes. It's been targeting Russia's energy infrastructure in retaliation for Russia's sustained bombardment of Ukraine's energy grid throughout the war. There are also reports on Saturday of blasts and smoke close to the Russian-controlled nuclear power plant in occupied Ukraine, the largest nuclear power plant in Europe. Any attack in the vicinity of a nuclear power plant, regardless of the intended target, poses potential risk for also nuclear safety and must be avoided. I call for maximum military restraint near nuclear facilities to prevent continued risk of a nuclear accident. So we'll see. They have a new date. I'm not sure. I think it's tomorrow that they must seek peace, or I don't know. America's probably going to do something stupid. So read that again. Wendell, I couldn't say that again if my life depended on it. So this is, well, there's also a drone program that can actually help us. It's going to revolutionize border security. A partner between the U.S.-Mexico border community and longtime drone manufacturer aims to elevate not just national security, but also other daily tasks undertaken by members of law enforcement. Illegal immigration has continued to be a top priority for the federal government after being touted by President Donald Trump and top officials on the campaign trail. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, said that in June, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement arrested 66,463 illegal immigrants and removed 65,682 in first 100 days of Trump's office. Drones have been used for law enforcement military purposes for well over a decade, with both domestically and internationally, to provide officers with the ability to cover wide ranges of terrain and different constant evolving technology to nab criminals who break the law. They have been used along the Texas border before. So the southeast corridor of Arizona spans 84 miles of U.S. border, and it has dealt with illegal immigration head-on for years. They have dedicated units at the border patrol, says Cochise County Sheriff Tim Williams, he's a captain, not a sheriff, who oversees the department's special operating division, is reported to Newsweek on Wednesday. We've seen a huge fluctuation over the years. Head-to-toe camouflage guys coming across with huge backpacks in the desert mountain terrain, all the way to tons of give-ups where they come across the border and just sit down and say, yep, here. Local officials have dramatically dwindled the number of legal border crossers, according to the police captain. During the administration, Cochise County had highs of 8,000 crossings per month. Now the national average is roughly 200. More airtime. Dragonfly bills itself as an industry leader in professional drone manufacturing, working with clients to provide various drones, contract engineering services, custom software, professional unmanned aerial vehicle services, and more. It primarily manufactures drones for law enforcement, industrial, and military partners. We've been manufacturing and providing drone capabilities for 27 years, CEO Cameron Chi told Newsweek. In fact, the first drone that was ever credited with saving a human life was a Dragonfly drone, and it sits on permanent display at the Smithsonian. Chell said his company linked with Cochise County sheriffs for a trial and expected to launch in fall due to being privy about its importance to border security in the community and innovative work it does along the southern border in terms of utilizing technology. They've got this great system that can recognize at a very efficient rate people crossing the border, he said. Their cameras haven't been found, and they've got a good response team. Interesting. But now we know they're there, though. But the challenge that they have is getting into the situation where it may take 45 minutes or even 2 hours to get to the location. And often the locations are high altitude, are inclement weather, whether it's heat or cold. Williams said he became acquainted with the company during the National Sheriff's Conference, looking at potentially broadening his department's drone repertoire. We have several drones that we use, not just for border, but for search and rescue, crime scene analysts, traffic scene analysis, etc. Williams said we use drones for quite a bit in our fleets, which are aging. We and Dragonfly started the conversation about what are some of the issues we're seeing, what we would like to see change and get better, and it's where the conversation started. So the drone specs will offer huge advantages. Let's see, they're going to be 66 pounds. They'll have 55 minutes of flight time, and they're going to cost $55,000. Variations of the heavy lift can fly from around 1 to 6 miles. Different drones do different things, he explained. There's a winged drone that has wings, and it is productive in terms of gathering intelligence, service, and reconnaissance. Those generally fly at a bit of a higher altitude and stay aloft for hours. Multi-rotor drones typically get 30 minutes of flight time, which wouldn't aid that 7 hours aloft with continuous battery life that they are seeking. So him and his company are coming up with a plan. The drone is about 9 feet across, has 8 blades, and described as a hybrid drone with 2 70cc combustion engines that can run on a variety of fuels. It has significant battery power and management system. While batteries can be charged on board, it equates to about 7 hours of flight time at just under 85 miles per hour and can operate as high as 11,000 feet. Wow. So we have a multi-mission drone that can do everything a fixed-wing drone can do, but that you could hope to do a multi-rotor drone. Wow. Williams said the final price tag associated with the new drone would be determined later this year. So that's going to be huge. So look for that. Read that again. Let's see. I can't wait for AI to teach people to misspell everything. And then what did Glenn, you need to come on and be a co-host. Wendell, I said I would. Let's see. And did drones save someone from drowning? I believe they did. And I think it was in Alabama. I think it was Gulf Shores, Alabama. I believe that the drone went out and dropped the little float things that you can wrap onto and strap onto until the lifeguards can get to you. So yeah, I believe that they have done that. In Maryland, they're testing a program where 911 will launch drones to reported motor vehicle accidents in certain parts of the interstate. And the reason that's so important is because a lot of times there's a lot of tourists that go through there and they don't know if they're on 395, 295, I-95, 495, the Capitol Beltway, they're inner, they're outer. And so the drone launch can get there quickly, determine the size of the accident, the exact location, and it can actually go down closer and ask if there are injuries or see if there's any hazards like hazmat. So they're testing that in Maryland. I want to say it's Montgomery County, but I'm not sure. Maybe PG. And I've seen a lot of police departments are buying pickup trucks, like small, like I want to say they're the Ford version where it's got 4 doors and a bed, and it has a hardcover roll that the back rolls open, and the bed is actually the bed for the drone in its landing zone and takeoff zone. And they're training officers to use that fairly quickly. So that technology is pretty incredible, and it's actually cheaper and more efficient than a canine. So look for that to be a big thing in the future. So young mom dies in agony live on airs as DJs laugh during a deadly water stunt for Wii. Jennifer Strange, 28, died of water intoxication during KD Indie FM 1079's Morning Rave in Sacramento while taking in the part of Hold Your Wii for Wii contest. A horrifying tragedy played out on American radio when 2 DJs were heard laughing as a contestant died from water poisoning live on air, according to, all while trying to win a Nintendo Wii for her children. Jennifer Strange, 28, participated in the radio's morning rave show for the January 12th episode, desperately wanting to win the Covenant game console for her 3 kids just 3 months after its launch. The Hold Your Pee for a Wii challenge demanded participants to drink massive quantities of water without using the bathroom, with the final person remaining claiming the Nintendo Wii. Starting at 6:45, Jennifer and 17 other contestants consumed 240 ml bottles in 15 minutes at the studio in Sacramento, with water consumption escalating as the competition continued. During the broadcast, she voiced her discomfort, stating, "My head hurts. They keep telling me that it's the water, that it will tell my head to hurt, and it'll make me puke," prompting a host to joke, "Who told you that? The intern?" reported the Mirror. Radio host kept ridiculing the circumstances, observing Jennifer's swollen stomach, chuckling, "She looks pregnant," noting, "This is so funny." Following her consumption of a staggering 7.6 liters of water and finishing as runner-up, she phoned a coworker to report she was in agonizing pain and couldn't come to work. Devastatingly, her mother found her dead at home merely an hour afterwards. During the legal action brought by the relatives, it was revealed that multiple show listeners, including a registered nurse, had attempted to halt the stunt by contacting the radio host to warn them about the serious risks. Eva Brooks expressed her alarm, stating those people that are drinking all that water can get sick and possibly die from water intoxication. But was informed by the program that they were aware of that and that contestants had signed waivers releasing the station from liability. Despite the urgent alerts, the contest continued, with water amounts consumed increasing dramatically as the challenge went on. The family attorney disputed assertions that Jennifer had signed any responsibility waiver, noting that the radio station failed to produce such documentation in courts. She had only contested to a form permitted the contents for use for marketing. In other words, the only thing she allowed was them to use her face and voice. After her heartbreaking death, the morning rave show was immediately pulled from the airwaves. The station was mandated to pay her family $16.5 million for wrongful death. No criminal charges were filed in connection with the tragedy. Her spouse, William, reflected on the Good Morning America. "It was a preventable thing," while Dreyer observed she acted based upon the information she had. Many people do not realize that you can die from water intoxication because it messes up your body's electrolytes and the vital things that your brain and, your heart actually need to function. I mean, your heart is basically a potassium pump. And if you wash all the potassium out, the heart's not going to function. That's actually one of the ways they euthanize people and animals is by administering Epsom salt. It messes up the pH. It stops the sodium potassium pump from pumping. So I've actually seen this. There was a young child, well, I won't say young, he was a teenager, and he was going for a job interview, and he wanted the job, but apparently he had smoked pot recently, and he thought by drinking copious amounts of water, he could get the pot out of his system. He drank 4-gallon jugs of water in 2 hours before the family found him. And yeah, it was very brutal when we brought him into the ER. Well, speaking of water, J.D. Vance is accused of changing water levels for a kayaking trip. This comes to us from Newsweek this morning. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers changed the outflows at the Ohio Lake at the request of the Secret Service to accommodate a private boating trip by Vice President J.D. Vance, according to a report. Okay, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers said it received the request to temporarily increase outflows from Caesar Creek Lake to support safe navigation of U.S. Secret Service personnel. During Vance's visit to the Little Miami River on his 41st birthday last Saturday, the paper reported. The Secret Service confirmed to Newsweek that it had conducted operational planning to ensure that motorized watercraft and emergency personnel could operate safely with appropriate water levels during a recent visit. Newsweek contacted Vance's office, the White House, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for comments, and of course it was outside of working hours. Shocker. The adjustment of water flows for a government official's private trip could raise concerns about equitable access to public resources and potential for exploiting government infrastructure for private benefit. It comes as the Trump administration budget cuts have left the National Park Service with a severely reduced staffing, straining the agency's ability to meet soaring visitor demand during peak vacation months. Publicly available water data show increased river levels and a corresponding drop in lake elevation during that weekend. A secret spokesperson told Newsweek that while it could not reveal the specifics of operational planning, it acted with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources to provide a safe and secure environment for our personnel and our law enforcement partners. The Corps of Engineers spokesperson said that stakeholders downstream were notified in advance of a slight outflow increase on August 1st, which did not adversely affect water levels in the area, according to The Guardian. So, well, I'm just going to be honest. I doubt that he probably knew. The Army Corps of Engineers records seen by the paper showed that while the agency had modified outflows for community events and emergency responders training in the past, such special releases were not typically made for individual requests. There were no allegations of illegal conduct in connection with the incident. Well, what people are saying, the Secret Service spokesperson told Newsweek on Thursday they worked in close coordination with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources and the Army Corps of Engineers, conducted operational planning to ensure that motorized watercraft and emergency personnel could operate safely with appropriate water levels during a recent visit. And the U.S. Corps of Engineers said that they met the operational criteria outlined in the Water Control Manual for the lake and did not require a deviation from normal procedures. Former Chief White House ethics lawyer Richard Painter, who served under the Bush administration, said it's outrageous for Army Corps of Engineers to spend taxpayer money to increase water flow in a river so JD can go canoeing when budget cuts to the National Park Service has severely impacted family vacations for everyone else. No informal allegations of wrongdoing have been made against Vance or his office, and the Corps of Engineers indicates that procedures were followed. The Secret Service has not announced any changes to its operational guidelines regarding public waterway adjustments for official security purposes. I'm just going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that JD probably had no clue, and that this is standard operating procedure for the Secret Service. You see, when they plan something for one of these protected officials, they have to think of everything. And so they were thinking, can we get the emergency boats on the water if we need to? And they were thinking of things that we would have never thought of. So it's big deal. Big deal. All right. That's just me, maybe. I don't know. I will run that one by Jurgs, though, because he worked for the Secret Service. So, but yeah, they plan everything down to the minutia. And these officials, when you see, oh, they're vacationing here, they're vacationing here, that vacation was, or whatever, that trip was planned months, if not a year in advance. They can't just go to Burger King. A lot of people don't realize that. So that's why Clinton got in trouble when he snuck out of the White House to go to McDonald's. Well, a Florida woman has been arrested after posing as a nurse and treating more than 4,000 patients with a stolen license. Autumn Berdisa, she's 29, helped provide care to 4,486 patients between June of 2024 and January of 2025. A Florida woman was arrested after allegedly posing as a nurse and treating thousands of patients with another nurse's license. She's 29 from Palm Coast. She's facing several counts of practicing as a healthcare provider without a license, 7 counts of fraudulent use of personal identification information, according to the Flagler County Sheriff on Wednesday. The sheriff's office said that she worked at Advent Health in Palm Coast Parkway Hospital for nearly 2 years. A colleague discovered she was not licensed to work as a nurse after she got a promotion earlier in the year. Hey, that makes sense. You get a promotion when you screw up in medical field. In her time at the hospital, she participated in medical services for 4,486 patients and never held a valid license. She was hired by Advent in July of 2023 as an advanced nurse technician who works under the direct supervision of a registered nurse. When she applied, she allegedly claimed that she was an educational first registered nurse, which meant she had passed the required schooling to become an RN, but had not yet passed the national exam for her license. During the hospital hiring process, she told them that she had passed the exam and provided a license number that matched her name, Autumn, but with a different last name, the sheriff's office said. She said she tried to explain the discrepancy by claiming she had recently got married and had a new last name. The hospital asked her to provide her marriage license as proof, but she never did. The name and the license number she provided, however, belonged to another nurse, also with the first name of Autumn, who was employed at Advent Health at a different facility. She went on to work with the hospital without scrutiny. In January, she was offered a promotion. The promotion sparked interest among her colleagues, the sheriff's office said. A fellow employee checked the status of her license at that time, found she had expired nursing assistance license, which the employee reported to administrators. Then Advent Health then opened the investigation into the claims and found that she had never provided her marriage license to confirm her identity. She was terminated January 22nd after she failed to confirm her identity. The sheriff's office said Advent Health then contacted the sheriff's office to conduct a criminal investigation. The probe took 7 months in conjunction with the Florida Department of Health and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. All included interviews with the nurse whose identity Berdisa allegedly stole. The two had attended the same college, but the Autumn whose identity was stolen said they did not personally know each other. That Autumn said Advent Health told her about the alleged fraud in January. An arrest warrant was issued for her on Tuesday, and she was arrested at her home. Video footage of her arrest showed officers confronting her as she was in her car wearing blue scrubs. The sheriff called the arrest one of the most disturbing cases of medical fraud he's ever investigated. This woman potentially put thousands of lives at risk by pretending to be someone she was not and violating the trust of patients, their families, Advent Health, and the entire medical community. The charging affidavit in the case said they failed to immediately identify that Autumn had never uploaded the marriage license and of the oversight and discrepancies in her employee information. Advent Health said this does not comment on pending legal matters or personal matters. She remained in custody as of Thursday morning, where she was being held for on $70,000 or $108,000 bond. That's Australian money. It was not immediate clear if she had to had retained an attorney, and her arraignment was set for September 2nd. That comes to us from 7 News. That's why it was donating the naming the Australian bunny. All right. Top of the hour here. You're listening. Hold on, I got a couple buttons here. Let me find them. Oh, this is new, guys. You gotta keep me on my toes here.
You're listening to a Dare Media Group radio station. Daring Australian Radio Entertainment. Dare Media Group is the home of these online radio stations: Radio X Gold, Radio X Country, 6RXM Radio X Magic, and Dare Talk Radio. Find out more at daremediagroup.com.au.
You're tuned to the Sportcat Show.
Okay. Now we're done with all the legalese stuff, so there you go. All right, law and crime. Hey, speaking of law and crime, we're doing legalese stuff as it is. This comes to us, and this is a quote from the article, so don't YouTube or Secret Service me. On God, I'll kill all of them. The man threatened to kill Trump, warned of a descent into literal oligarchy. Wow. A Pennsylvania man has pled guilty to threatening to kill Donald Trump days before his second inauguration. Jacob Butley, he's 22. He made several threatening posts on TikTok targeting Trump, then the president-elect, the Justice Department announced in a press release. According to the plea agreement filed in the U.S. District Court in Pennsylvania, Buckley admitted to writing, "I hate MAGA Republicans, bro. On God, I'll kill all of them, and I'm going to kill Trump." That's his words, not mine, YouTube, and whoever else is listening. On the same day, Buckley, from his account, wrote, "Bro, we're going into a literal oligarchy in 4 days, and I'm going to kill Trump," according to court documents. Once again, this is according to the Law and Crime website. Buckley could be imprisoned for up to 5 years and fined $250,000. He may also be placed on supervised release for up to 3 years. It's not immediately clear when sentencing will occur. As we know, Trump began his second inauguration on the afternoon of January 20th. So last month, a 37-year-old man in Rhode Island wrote on his own social media platform, Truth Social, that it's a shame you won't get to see the end of your effing term, adding that U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi would get a, quote, bullet to the head, according to federal records. Once again, YouTube and Secret Service. This is from an article. Also in July, Michigan pled guilty to threatening assassination attempt to Trump and Vice President Vance, writing that if either of them ever returned to where he lives, they would be leaving in a, quote, body bag. And as we know, in Butler County, Pennsylvania, in July of 2024, he had shots fired and was shot in the ear. Well, those are from Law and Crime. Those are not my words. I am just quoting from an article. All right, this comes to us from Express US. This brings up a lot of interesting question. Archaeologists unearthed mysterious enormous shoes from an ancient Roman fort. 8 enormous leather shoes, each greater than 11.8 inches, have been discovered by archaeologists at Magna since May. Researchers were shocked to discover a number of enormous leather shoes that are significantly larger than normal during the recent digs in northern England, and they don't know why they're so big. The oversized shoes from Magna, a Roman-era fort along Hadrian's Wall, a 73-mile stone wall that delineated the northwest edge of the Roman Empire, and was constructed in 122 CE. Roman Army Museum states that the fort, also called Caravan, was in use from 85 until 122 CE. 8 enormous leather shoes, each greater than 11.8 inches long, have been discovered since May, and about 25% of all the shoes at the site so far are of the extra large specimens. While investigating a defensive ditch where Roman troops were also to dispose their waste, they found the first enormous shoe. According to Christina Kilgrove of Live Science, the sole of that shoe measured 12.6 inches, or about the same length as a man's 14 in the U.S. After continuing their excavation, archaeologists discovered 33 more pairs of shoes in various sizes, some of which have been designed for young people, and he discovered a shoe that was 12.8 inches long. The soles are composed of thick sheets of cowhide leather that are secured together by iron hobnails because of the low oxygen content of the local soil. The shoes have been intact for almost 2,000 years. So why are some of them so big? Well, it's a mystery to researchers. At a nearby Rome fort of Villandoa, thousands of shoes have also been discovered, albeit the majority of average size. According to Live Science, just 16 of the 3,704 measuring shoes found are roughly 0.4% were longer than 11.8. In contrast, 25% of the shoes discovered at Magna thus far have measured more than 11.8 inches in length. That's interesting. And Chris says, the algorithm has been dropping you like a hot potato at this very moment. Yes, it has. Interestingly enough, I've noticed it. So, all right. This comes to us from Scallywag and Vagabond. A hunter, millionaire trophy hunter, gored to death by 2,000-pound buffalo while they were on safari. Good Lord. Internet cheers after Texas rancher Asher Watkins was killed instantly hunting buffalo during the safari with Conrad and Vermac safari tours in South Africa. Multi-millionaire avid hunter was killed instantly. Defying karma, a millionaire Texas rancher was gored to death by a massive buffalo that he was stalking after it ambushed him while on a hunting trip in South Africa, according to the reports. Asher Watkins was 52. He was tracking a 1.3-ton Cape buffalo in Limpopo on Sunday when the wild beast charged at him, killing him instantly, according to the safari group organizer. The buffalo was not wounded. It is with deep sadness and with heavy hearts that we confirm the tragic death of our client and friend Asher Watkins from the USA, according to the safari in an internet release statement. Hunts organized by them, the safari, going to yield an estimated $10,000 US dollars. They offers the company website or commitment to delivering the first class hunting experience that we are known for since our company was founded in 1970 is unwavering. We offer authentic, unfiltered safaris, and we are driven by deep love and respect for the African wilderness and its animals. Choices of hunting experiences include dangerous game safari, playing game safari, wing shoot safari, and bow hunt safaris. He was tracking it together with one of our professional hunters and one of our trackers. This is a devastating incident, and our hearts go out to him and his loved ones, the company says. Watkins' mom, Gwen, stepdad, and brother, Amon, were waiting for him at Safari Lodge only to never return. He was the head of the Watkins Ranch Group, a successful brokerage company that sells multi-million-dollar ranches in Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, according to the company's website. The affluent rancher was active in the Dallas Safari Club and actively hunted birds and other wildlife, according to several social media posts where he boasted about his hunts. The keen conservationist believed hunting was a vital part of preserving wildlife. He had photos on all his social media with dead mountain lion, many deer, and hundreds of wildfowl. He also boasted in killing thousands of doves in just 3 days with 7 friends in Argentina. He was raised in Dallas, where he worked with his family's hunting and cattle ranch, according to his company's biography. His ex-wife, Courtney, and their teenage daughter, Savannah, were also notified of the tragic death. So there you go. He was hunting the buffalo, and he became the hunted. And I'm just going to read this one real quick because it's a long read. But a nurse who, she died when her heart exploded, says no human words can describe what she saw. She had an allergic reaction. This comes to us, by the way, from the Express US. If you want to find this article, it's nurse who died when heart exploded says no human words can describe what she saw. So she was smelling flowers and developed an allergic reaction. The Canadian nurse described how the medical staff fought to preserve her life, and she went to a peaceful state where she believes that her relatives and friends who passed away years early were there speaking to her. So I'm going to see if I can get this young lady on the show. She was a nurse. She reached a hospital where she was employed, began feeling scratchy. She described attempting to find out what was amiss. You go through in your mind. Did it come in contact with anything? Did I eat something funny? Do I have a cold? You kind of scan the environment. And I start to feeling my throat getting tighter and tighter. It felt like sandpaper, and I was swallowing. So scan the environment, looked straight ahead at me. In the nursing station, there was a beautiful bouquet of lilies. Julie revealed that she was aware of her lily allergy, but hadn't considered it particularly serious and would simply steer clear of them when spotted. However, for some fateful, for unknown reasons, on that fateful morning in 2018, she chose to approach the flowers, sparking a massive and potentially fatal allergic reaction. At that point, I was starting to turn blue, she said. She expressed that that she started to go at anaphylactic shock. And her colleagues immediately sprang to action. One dashed off to fetch medication. Another rang Julia's husband. And a third stayed with her in an attempt to keep her calm. It was just as I was sitting in the staff room together, she recalled, and she was just staring at me, paralyzed, watching me die in front of her. All I kept thinking was, I'm drowning in air. After the doctor burst into the room, he saw the state and the desperation. The doctor administered an emergency injection of epinephrine, the primary ingredient in EpiPens. But an unexpected mistake escalated the serious situation into a now lethal one. We both locked eyes with each other, and at that instant, we realized it was the wrong drug. The concentrations of epinephrine that had been loaded into the syringe was 10 times higher than the doctor realized, causing her heart to race uncontrollably. So she was administered the wrong epi. This has happened before. And she was administered it IV. It's 10 times as bad. So he said, all of a sudden it was like the Hulk. As the epinephrine was surging through my body, I started breathing, and I remember just pushing everything away, realizing she was going into cardiac arrest. She threw her safety glasses and keys across the room and yelled, rip off my clothes, get leads on me, and grab pads right away. Wow. At critical moment, I'm in excruciating pain. She started to turn to the people in her life that had died, and I started feeling how my best friend had died. She was after she shot herself, and I felt like the pain was in the back of my head had been blown away. And she said she felt like what she had gone through, I was letting that go. And then that was the same with my stepmother, who died in her arms in Mexico. This is a crazy story of a medical provider that felt, she's an empath and felt to her patients. So at that moment, she went completely somewhere else. And then basically she started hearing them perform, hearing the words, we lost her again. Everything changed, went black. So I'm going to try and find this. The Lily Nurse, Rebooted and Rebirthed and Finding a New Path. Julia Evans is the book. So I'm going to try and find it. She went to another place and claims that after the near-death experience, she is now a psychic. So it enables her to glimpse into other people's souls. So I'm going to try and get her on. I think that would be a great show. We'll just hit on this one real quick. It was a grotesque murder. You remember we talked about, I think it was 2 weeks ago, the Nashville prisoner who was on death row who had a heart defibrillator. Well, and they had tried to get the hospital to turn off the internal heart defibrillator. Well, no hospital would provide that service. So as he was administered the lethal injection in Tennessee, the defibrillator started doing what it's supposed to do and started firing. And apparently it was a grotesque spectacle, and he was still in pain as he was unresponsive. It took about 10 minutes after he was giving the injection. Asked if he had any last words, he replied, no, sirs. He was in discomfort, breathing heavily, and talking about the pain. He looked around the room as it started, lifting his head off the gurney multiple times and could be heard sighing and breathing heavily. Throughout the execution, a spiritual advisor prayed and sang over him, at one point touching his face. As he lay with his hands and chest restrained with an IV line in his arm, he said, oh, it's hurting so bad. And that was because the internal defibrillator was actually shocking his heart. So, very, very disturbing. I don't know that. I think that's a first. So we need to do some medical research on that before we do that again. That was inhumane. So, and also this comes to us from NPR. It's a video showing Department of Justice official urging the J6 rioters to, quote, kill police officers. And body cam footage shows an DOJ employee telling this. So that come out today. You can read all about that on NPR. All right, let's bring up what we normally do here, which, hell, I don't even know what it is. This is when I made a sad revelation this morning. It was at this point that I realized that today was Thursday and not Friday. Thank you, Wendell. I think it would be. So this is the FEMA National Watch Center's daily operation brief that is presented every day to the president at 8:30 in the a.m. This is the public version, not the secret squirrel version. I was so thinking it was Friday. So there are no new significant operations ongoing, but they are monitoring severe weather in the northern plains, excessive heat from the California desert to the southwest, critical fire weather, which is in the Great Basin to the central Rockies, and the tropical activity, well, eastern and central. There's Tropical Storm Ivo and Tropical Storm Henriette. In the Atlantic, we have Dexter and two other disturbances, which have been waffling anywhere from 10% to 80% as far as probability of becoming a named storm. So Tropical Storm Henriette is in the eastern Pacific, 1,385 miles east of Hawaii, with a maximum sustained winds of 45 miles an hour and higher gusts. It's moving west at near 16 miles an hour, and the winds extend outward up to 90 miles from the center. Little change in strength is forecast during the next 48 hours. So it's out to sea, not doing anything so far. In the western Pacific, there is another tropical depression that is, well, bearing down on Anderson Air Force Base in Guam. Maximum sustained winds of 35 miles an hour, higher gusts. It's moving northwest at 3 miles an hour, and it's forecast to pass over the northern Mariana Islands. In the central and eastern Pacific, well, we have Tropical Storm Ivo, I believe that is, and it is 215 miles southwest of Acapulco with the sustained winds of 40 miles an hour, higher gusts, moving west-northwest at 23 miles per hour. Tropical force winds extend up to 30 miles from the center, and it's forecast to be near hurricane strength by the end of next week. Tropical Storm Henriette, we just discussed. And now we move over to the Atlantic and Tropical Storm Dexter. It's 450 miles south of Cape Race, Newfoundland, with a maximum sustained wind of 50 miles an hour, some higher gusts, moving east near 17 miles an hour. Tropical force winds can extend out up to 175 miles from the center. Disturbance 1, well, it's unnamed. It's located a couple hundred miles southeast of the U.S. It's a slow tropical development, possible over the weekend, expected to become a extratropical by next week. Formation's chances during the next 48 hours is near zero, and the next 7 days, well, it's medium 30%. Disturbance 2, well, it's a tropical wave over the eastern tropical Atlantic. It's a tropical depression, could form late this weekend or early next week. Formation chances, well, 48 hours, low at 10%. In other words, there's a chance. In the 7 days, 60%. We look at the national forecast and we see, well, up in the severe extreme northwest, Washington and Oregon are expecting some spotty showers. That's going to extend all the way across to Montana, where the possibility becomes for severe weather. And unfortunately, my friends in the Dakotas, you're under the gun again. Could storm there all the way into Minnesota is where that severe storm possibility reaches. Now that also brings to bear that there are spotty showers from basically the panhandle of Florida to the Keys, to the northeast shores up in Boston, back over to the Great Lakes, and down again back to Texas. So, Wendell, Chris, he says, we have a disturbance over Chicago after Chris ate Taco Bell. On Friday, well, unfortunately, the Dakotas and, well, a little bit of Montana are still going to be facing the severe weather. Oh, I forgot to mention, up in the higher elevations of Montana, Wyoming, and Idaho, there's a chance for mixed precipitation. And the critical fire weather is pretty much all of Utah and most of Wyoming. If it's not raining in Wyoming, there's a fire chance. So that low is trying to push through. Friday, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to sit there. It means those storms for the Dakotas and Montana, you're going to get hammered again. The fire weather is going to stay pretty consistent because of no water. It's not until Saturday that those storms are going to move to the east. And then pretty much it's going to be most of Michigan that will be expecting severe thunderstorms. That could stretch down into Illinois for my friends there. That front's pushing it very slowly across. The fire weather should be contained because of precipitation, but that's not saying the fires will be out, but they will be contained. So the severe weather outlook, well, Montana and the Dakotas, you're pretty high chances. In Friday and Saturday, it's staying the same for Friday, and then Saturday it'll move to the east, getting Michigan, Illinois. So if you're in those areas, please keep your weather radio on. Keep in touch with local authorities in case of possible tornadic activity. The excessive heat, well, we're getting better. We're getting better. Down in the Southwest, it is extreme. Down in Southern California, Arizona, New Mexico, it's severe weather. We see that the heat is trying to push up from the Texas Panhandle all the way up into the Dakotas. That's helping to fuel some of the storms too. But if you look to the east of that, it's cooler temperatures. And if you look to the east of the Appalachia, there's actually a little cold front there. So it's not cold, but it's cooler. Fire weather outlook, well, we talked about that. It's going to be critical today. And tomorrow, it's going to be critical. We're talking about in Southern California, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, all the way up to Montana and Idaho. And then on Friday, which is tomorrow, by the way, I just found that out. Is it Friday yet? So it'll be about the same. Chris says, my doctor won't let me have Taco Bell anymore, so I'm innocent in this case. I'm surprised that it's not Casey won't let you have the Taco Bell, Chris. So the wildfire summary, well, they're talking about the severe Platte, Utah fire. It's only 16% contained. And there's a Lee fire in Colorado. Well, it's 37,753 acres and growing, and it's near 0% contained. Colorado, well, it's got 14,250 acres, 0% contained. And we see that they're currently operating with 17 joint field offices. If you zoom this map in and look, they're almost busy in every state in the lower 48 and partially up in Alaska. So FEMA is working. Remember, FEMA isn't just the federal government. It's also, assistance that's come in from other places. So Kansas, a major declaration request is being considered. It's for severe storms, straight line winds, and tornadoes. And they're saying it's for 16 counties statewide. This is Kansas, but PA. So, okay. And declaration request, this one is for, this is South Dakota. Okay. And it looks like it's for the Lake Traverse Reservation only. And so it's for severe storms and flooding. 6 requests in process. We talked about them yesterday. North Dakota, New England, North Carolina. Nebraska, North Carolina, Kansas, and SWO, Saskatchewan, Wahapatan. I don't know. It's a tribe in Montana, and I apologize. I'm a fan. All right. Gosh. All right, so let's look at the schedule for our elected official today. President Trump will roll back and go yesterday and see if we miss anything. And my buddy got some pictures of Tom Holman, briefing reporter, at the Sticks. The Sticks is a location outside of the White House. It's basically a long driveway, and along that driveway there are tents set up with pretty much every major news media outlet, video news media outlet, and they call that area the Sticks. So Tom Holman was out there briefing the reporters. In other words, they just pretty much walk out there and say, I'm here. I'm going to tell you guys something. It's not really a huge premeditated event. So, hey, Denise, we missed you. So, Let's see. So the president makes an announcement at 4:30. I didn't see what it was. I'm sure that it was probably we're tariffing somebody. And at 6:05, well, they shut down the White House and called a full lid. All right, so today, 9 a.m., it was an in-pool camera call time for the cameras and the videos. Noon, the president signed executive orders. It was closed to the media. At 4 o'clock, he's going to deliver remarks, but it's only to pre-credentialed media. So it'll be the 4 o'clock news drop. It's not the Friday news drop that I thought was coming. Could be just as entertaining. I don't know. Usually the Friday news drop is one where they drop something and they all just leave the office and put their phones on do not answer. So, all right. So this is from NBC Washington. It's live updates from the Trump administration. Tariffs will take effect and the FBI is going to help find Democrats. What Texas Democrats? I didn't know they were missing. So me and me and Ross had a conversation about this. So a meeting between Trump and President Vladimir Putin has been agreed to with the Kremlin. Okay, so look for that to happen. And supposedly it could actually occur at the White House. So that's the rumor I'm hearing. So Senator John Cornyn says that the FBI will help track down the absent Texas Democrats, delaying a vote on redistricting. A decade of Supreme Court rulings set the stage for the fight of redistricting in Texas and the unfolding responses in several other states that are now considered redrawing their congressional maps. Wish these people would stop pitching hissy fits. So Trump administration is going to scale back on the human rights report. Well, it's placing a new focus on restrictions on the freedom of expression as well as adversaries. The report, which also widely anticipated to read around the world, has been composed by U.S. diplomats under congressional mandate for 50 years as a measure of countries' adherence to internationally recognized human rights. The report last year normally would have been released in the spring, but it's been delayed by a month. Yesterday, something dropped. Thank you, Denise. Yesterday, something dropped that not a lot of people reported. It dropped after we were live. The Trump administration announced that they were going to withhold FEMA money for any state that had public, I'm not sure exactly how it was worded, but public outcry for Hamas, and they were anti-Israel. Well, this immediately was red flagged, and so they rescinded that, and they brought it back and reworded it. But it basically reworded it to where it said if they are discriminatory. And so now your FEMA dollars that we pay in can be dictated as to whether your state has had any protests against Israel, because that would be racist. So the controversy that this draws is, why do local counties and states, cities, have to pledge their support to Israel in order to get FEMA money? So we're asking for our federal dollars to recognize another state. That doesn't seem right to me. They're totally rewording the word discrimination to include anti-Semitism. And if you don't like one person, you don't like them all. And so therefore you get no FEMA money. That makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Why would we tie our federal government? Breaking news. This is just happening 1 minute ago. But anyway, let me finish my rant. Why would we expect monies that we pay for to be tied to another country? That makes no sense, and the Supreme Court needs to step in immediately and do something. That is a way overstep, because just my neighbor may be a racist and doesn't like Israel, so that means if there's a flood in my neighborhood, my county can't get money. That's wrong. That's very wrong. And so okay, the MAGA people that left me yesterday can come back. No, wait a minute, you can go away again. I'm bitching about something Trump did. So, but breaking news 2 minutes ago, this comes to us from NBC Washington. Increased law enforcement presence in D.C. expected after Trump decries crime. My friend Penguin 6 actually broke this over on X a few hours ago, but it wasn't official. President Trump said federal agents are expected to have a stronger presence in the nation's capital in the coming days at the direction of the Trump administration, according to the White House officials and D.C. officials. That could include officers from DHS, ICE, FBI, and National Guard. The White House office said it's unclear whether the agents have been directed to engage in activity beyond typical duties or what their role would be beyond being present on federal property. This is an ongoing priority for Trump. Another White House official said the president has in recent days decried crime in the district, despite D.C. police data showing that violent crime is down 26% compared to last year. In a statement from the White House official, the Trump administration clarified that, quote, operational details have not been finalized at this time. My friend over on Penguin 6, he broke it with pictures of the National Guard readying their vehicles, polishing them, and getting them out front. So that was a few hours ago. So, yeah. Denise, you're right. There is no reason that our money should be tied to swearing a loyalty to another country. I mean, I have nothing against them, but if you're going to make me swear an oath to you so that I get my federal money back, I don't like you now just because of that. So that just makes no sense. Why does everything in the world have to be tied back to Israel and you have to swear blind allegiance to that government? Makes absolute no sense. And if you don't, you're a racist. So I'll probably get a visit after this comment, but it's wrong. Our money should not be tied to, as a first responder. Our departments can't get money because of that. Okay, so there we go. Aerial video of widespread destruction in the Gaza. Speaking about that, swear your allegiance to Israel, you'll be fine. Netanyahu, whatever his name is, confirms Israel plans to take over Gaza, but not keep long term. What is long term? Exactly. Then I'm a racist. I agree, Denise. I'm going to be labeled a racist because I'm not going to swear allegiance to a foreign government. Not going to do it. I'm American. So anyhow, he's going to occupy Gaza and take it over in order to. This is once again, I talk about this in the United States. When they do something that's an overreach, it's in the name of safety or to protect our children. If we look down here, they won't want to keep it long. It's just for safety. Because they said that Hamas is really cruel to their own people. They want civilian casualties in the starvation policy. Listen to the last hour of my show last night. The Canadian author was from China. She's a dual citizen. And she was talking about the things that the Chinese people are taught. That they're basically taught if they go into Taiwan, they're not to go in and just occupy it. They're taught that they are supposed to eradicate and eliminate every Taiwanese citizen. So I scroll back here and we got this guy doing the same thing and yet blaming it on their government. Now, I'm not saying I support terrorism at all because what the other side did was bad, but I'm not going to swear blind loyalty to everything you do. It's not happening. So if I get a visit, I get a visit. So I'm at the South Studio. Don't go to Georgia. You'll just see my grandson. Project Kuiper. Here's what to know. Well, I don't even know what Project Kuiper is. It's high-speed, low-latency internet to virtually any location on the planet. Apparently, this is an Amazon thing. We talked about how that the FBI is going to hunt down the Texas Democrats. Not sure I'm on board with that either. I mean, they didn't technically quit their job. So Trump says U.S. will be very rich as tariffs go into effect. This is my next question. We've supposedly gotten billions from Google and Amazon and Apple and all these companies. And we've gotten all these billions from tariff. Why is our national debt still in the trillions? Why have we not put that money into the national debt? Pay off our bills. So, yeah, it pisses me off too, Denise. I'll get a rant. So, in my opinion, the reason why Israel is given up power and the reason that the Epstein files are being concealed are all part of the same overlying problem. Bingo. Bingo. Let me find the button here. You are correct. That's the reason that the Epstein files aren't being released, because it's an operation that was run by Mossad. There you go. I'll be visited now for sure. So where's the money from all this? Where does the money go? We're going to be very rich. I'm not going to be rich. Trump demands resignation of the Intel CEO over Chinese ties. India's Modi said he is ready to pay a big price in the face of tariffs. In other words, they're saying, bring it. They're claiming that it's economic blackmail. Trump plans to omit undocumented immigrants from the census. Okay. A decade of Supreme Court rulings have given the states increasingly unfettered power in redistricting. And as we talked about this earlier on Jurg's radio, both sides have done this. Both sides have done this. Trump is going to meet Putin. I heard that from one of my friends in the media in D.C. yesterday, but they haven't announced when or where, but supposedly it's going to be the White House. And we're going to bring taxes to highest level since the Great Depression. Yay. Yay. So one day I'm your friend, the next day I'm your enemy. So yesterday I lost followers because I made such outrageous comments about Cincinnati. Today I'm going to lose followers because I won't swear blind allegiance. So if they're undocumented, why don't they send ICE after them? Well, they are. As a matter of fact, we just spent a bunch of money to give each officer that comes over from, if you're a sworn federal, if you're a sworn federal, local, civilian officer, police officer, you can get a $50,000 sign-on bonus and fast-tracked to being an ICE agent. So we have just spent a great deal of money to employ 10,000 new ICE agents. Not all of them are going to be frontline. There's going to be people that do things like flying the drones, computers, all kinds of things. So, but yeah, we're spending lots of money on that. So, but yet, if my lake floods and I can't get money because Gwinnett County doesn't recognize, agreed. My allegiance is to the American flag. God, guns, and country. Isn't that the way it's supposed to be, Denise? Space weather. Well, there's only a minor solar storm and nothing really is expected over the next 24 hours. I'm sure it'll change for Wednesday. So, and for Wednesday, shit, do I know what day it is? I'm having a stroke. I'm so angry. So there's no tsunami warnings. Our advisory watch or threat currently. I brought that up. And then I wanted to bring up the National Hurricane Center to show, we've got Dexter kind of hanging out here, and it's going to keep moving to Dexter's hanging out over here. It's just going to kind of keep hanging out and staying away from us. We'll see its track. And this one hasn't got a name yet, but it's going to continue to move to the east-northeast away from us. Bermuda, depending on how quickly it's moving, could see a little problem. And disturbance number 2, well, they're saying there's a chance that it could become a named storm within the next 7 days. That could directly affect, depending upon its path, the Atlantic seaboard, or it could cross over Florida into the Gulf of America. Which right now it's not on that projection, but it's something to keep our eyes on for next week. Do not fall for the people on the internet telling you that there's going to be a huge hurricane next month and we're all going to die, blah, 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 blah. Wendell says, I can be an ICE agent. I know where there's a lot of undocumented people. Well, Wendell, somewhere I'll find it. I'll send you. There's a banner that provides you a number that you can call and report them, and you can get a reward. So there's actually a bounty. Yes, you heard me. There's actually a bounty. All right, so I brought this up. Wendell's usually always interested in volcanoes, but I brought this up because I didn't mention it the other day, but on the 6th, they brought up the aviation color code to orange and to the alert level for hurricanes, volcanoes to orange. Now, with the aviation, what that means is basically that thing could go off and send a plume of ash into the sky, and if you're traveling near it, and that gets in your engines as a jet, that's fatal. So they've updated that because I remember when we flew down into South America and there was an active volcano, we had to go miles out of our way and actually refuel in another country because of the ash storm. It was so large because the energy shoots it up, and depending on the level of the eruption, it can go up almost to outer space limits, and then it balloons out like a mushroom cloud, so to speak, but then the ash rains down slowly. So, all right. Well, Wendell said, yes, Chris, it is. Is he? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I missed a comment there. Chris says, is the American flag racist this week, or am I allowed to like it today? I missed the memo. Well, if you're in Hawaii, your M&M is code orange because of Kilauea. It's episode 30. It's like a Seinfeld episode. Episode 30 of the eruption. It ended abruptly at 12:55 Honolulu time on August 6th, but they have changed the alert level warning in aviation from warm red to orange to red. So, yeah. And the Great Sitkin, well, it's continuously staying at orange at the moment for the the Ring of Fire where they're anticipating. For Spur, it's a code yellow. So this was today's advisory for volcanoes. So Kilauea is currently an orange, Great Sitkin is an orange, and a Spur is yellow. Orange means that it's probably going to blow. Red is it's blowing. And you can get a daily report on the website that'll tell you everything about it. For the Great Sitkin, this was updated yesterday. It says lava continues to erupt from the center of the Great Sitkin. Low-level seismic activity continues with small earthquakes and rockfalls detected. The Spur, well, that vol is low. Mount Spur will have occasional small earthquakes beneath the volcano. Nothing was other than that. So there you go. California volcano, you can go on here and read all volcano monitors are normal. Earthquake activity and deformation monitors are all normal. And this is for Shasta, Medicine Lake, Clear Lake, and Cocktober, and we can see the Cascades, and their alert level is normal. This is for Oregon and Washington. We go into the Kilauea. Currently, it's in orange. It's the Hawaii Observatory is monitoring it. And we'll jump to this one. Northern Mariana volcanic island volcanoes. Good Lord. It's currently nothing going on there, right? No signs of unrest were detected. All right. And Yellowstone, Wendell, you're always asked about this one. This was only from August 1st. Yellowstone activity remains at background levels with 52 located earthquakes in July, with the largest of 2.8. Deformation measures indicate the annual summertime pause in long-term caldera subsidence started in late May. Two small eruptions of Black Diamond Pool in Biscuit Basin were recorded on a webcam July 3rd and July 14th. We're still monitoring it. And this is all of the volcanoes that they monitor. So you can check this out. I just kind of hit it because I know Wendell had been asking for it for a couple days and I hadn't had a chance to do it. So there you go. Wendell says, oh, wow, I always wanted to be a bounty hunter. Hey, you can do it for the convenience of your smartphone, Wendell. It's pretty easy to do now. Chris says the Sitkin was never this great until Trump took power. Many people have said they have never seen the Sitkin greatness like this in the past. Chris, you need to be my writer. I swear. You come up with this. Thank you, Chris. All right. So getting back to the lower 48, we look at the tornado indications. North Dakota, 5%, according to the National Weather Service, of forming today. It's less by other NGOs. And the wind, though, however, is predicted to be extremely high in North Dakota, extending up into Canada. That has got a range extending out across from Idaho all the way down to Illinois. So that little cone of uncertainty right there of high wind, I'll keep an eye on. The hail chance, North Dakota, pretty much you're under the gun all day for chances of severe weather and hail. That's according to both prognostications, the NOAA and the NGO. So Let's take a current look at what's going on. All right, well, this is the satellite image. We look here at Brisbane, and currently in Brisbane, you are looking at 66 as your high, 57 as a low. It's going to be kind of rainy. Down in Sydney, well, today it's going to be a high of 61, low of 54, and cloudy. Canberra, well, you're looking at a high of 56, a low of 31. It's partly cloudy. Yeah, all right. Down in Hobart, well, it's looking a little foggy today, and it's 43 to 55 as your lows and your highs. South Australia, well, you're looking at pretty much 50 to 64 as your average temperatures. It's going to be intermittently cloudy. Up in the Northern Territory, well, a high of 79, low of 57. Nice, bright, sunny day in Darwin. Well, Darwin gets the record warmth of 89, bright and sunny with a low of 71. So we move down towards Broome. It's still going to be sunny. It's going to be with a high of 84, low of 68. And I pronounce this wrong every day, and I'm surprised I haven't been added yet. Carnarvon. Somebody please send me how to correctly pronounce this. I'm going to have to ask Radio X because I butcher this every day, and I apologize. It's going to be a high of 68. It's going to be rainy, though, in 61. Down in Perth, you're looking at, well, it's going to be rainy with, well, a high of 67, low of 56. Let's hop up to the United States and see what's going on here. Well, it's a cloudy day on the East Coast. We look down in Jacksonville, and, well, they're currently 76 to 84 and raining. Over in New Orleans, well, over there, it's partly cloudy. 90 is a high, 79 is a low. Memphis, well, let's see what's going on with you today. You're expecting 93 as a high and sunny. You know, over here in Knoxville, where I'm at, it's going to be partly cloudy with a high of 86. Louisville, it's going to be pretty much the same for you. Partly cloudy, low of 69, high of 89. New York City, going to be pretty warm today. 81 with nice, clear, sunny skies. Don't see that personally, but okay. Washington, partly cloudy, high of 83. That's where Mom is right now, Washington, D.C. It's 76 degrees with a 63 low in Boston. We go back over to Burlington, and right there, it's a high of 79, partly cloudy, 63. Chicago, you're looking at rainy, cloudy skies with a high of 86, low of 73. And Minneapolis, what is it doing up in Minneapolis? Well, it's a high of 88, partly cloudy. Let's up here to the Dakotas and see what's going on. In Bismarck, 87, it's raining, the low of 67. Go over to Seattle and see if you're the cool spot. Well, no, it's 69, so it is cool there. The high of 69 today. Sunny, doesn't look like it's going to be very sunny, and 59. Down in Medford, K-Cat country, it is going to be a high of 83 and 59 low with cloudy skies. LA, well, you're going to be warm today. 93 sunny skies. Let's see, Vegas, how you're coming in today. Vegas, 107 degrees is your expected high with blistering sun. Albuquerque, well, Albuquerque, you're 97 today. The low is 70 with partly cloudy skies. Tulsa, right in the middle of the country there, you're getting 96 high with a low of 74 and prognosticated sunny skies. All right, let's look at all current warnings that are going into effect from Weather Warn. Well, Georgia has a flood advisory because of the storms there over towards the Carolina border. So there's a flood warning, a flood advisory. Washington has a special weather statement. Well, that's because of a thunderstorm that's tracking with gusty winds, and it's a little bit of a hazard there. So they have a special weather statement. It looks like if you're in Soap Lake, I'm not really familiar with that area. It's a reservation to the east of Seattle. And Idaho special weather statement in the Panhandle. There's a thunderstorm. Throng. Be careful, that throng will get you. I can make fun of myself. There we have the daily test message for no apparent reason, and a special weather statement in Washington. Heat advisory in Kansas. Yeah, we talked about that. Down in Washington, more of special weather statements. Georgia, flooding. Georgia's got lots of areas with flooding. Louisiana, you have a special weather statement. I'm going to assume Louisiana, that's probably because of some storms down there. And we continue to go down and look. Missouri, you have a heat advisory for today. I'm sure there's actually more than one. Maryland, well, it's a beach hazard in Maryland. Denise says, don't wear a thong. Yeah, if you wear a thong wrong, is it a problem? Why it's not Friday. We look through coastal floods in Virginia, North Carolina border there, anywhere pretty much along the eastern seaboard because of the storms. You can expect some storms, flooding, and beach hazards. So be on the lookout if you're vacationing on the Outer Banks or Virginia Beach, Norfolk, that area. Let's see here. These are all small craft advisories. So you can go to Weather Warn and check out all the latest updates that come out. Let's look at the current conditions on a map. That'll give us a much better idea of what's going on. All right, so we zoom out to the lower 48, and the first thing that pops into my head is the air quality. Air quality is horrible. So Wendell says, at least it's not a throng storm. Well, it's always good that it's not a throng storm. The heat advisory continues pretty much from the Great Lakes all the way down to the panhandle of Texas. We see that spotty showers are already popping up. These are probably heat-induced St. Louis, north of St. Louis, almost to Des Moines. That's going to stretch down to Memphis a little bit later on. We look over here to the west, and these are the storms where they had the special weather statement. Some pretty good-sized little storms right there. So we'll check the electrical activity here in a second. So those in the west are pretty good. Zooming in on the East Coast, really, the only thing, what is this up here? In upstate New York, it's a couple little small storms. There's a special weather statement issued out. That's going to be continuing over into Vermont, over into Montpelier, and down into was that Woodbury, down in that way. Baltimore, well, you have a flood advisory, pretty much all of Chesapeake Bay on both Virginia, Maryland side, all the way down to the central coast. I'm sorry, not the central, the coastal areas of the Outer Banks is under a flood statement. That's because of the storm out there just sitting doing its thing. So there you go. Down in Florida, well, Florida, special marine warning. Keys getting a little bit of rain right now. And it looks like over here, oh, this is a pretty good sized storm in Naples. That's going to be traveling across and probably messing with the one in Coral Springs. Miami, you're getting some storms. Homestead, you're going to get some storms. Even down in Alligator Alley there, they're getting some storms. Florida right now has spotty storms pretty much central, mid, and all the way up into the panhandle. Orlando, some spotty showers to your north and to your east. Those are going to continue. Look down here in the Gold Coast, I think this is called. This is Treasure Coast. Down in the panhandle of Florida, there's some spotty showers from the curve all the way over to the Mobile Bay. You can anticipate some showers and storms. Looks like Pensacola is getting a pretty decent one right now. Wendell, I'm about to check and see if you got an electrical throng storm coming your way. So somebody will probably clip that and make fun of me. It's all right. I don't care. And that's the wrong button. I don't know what the hell that button does. Chris says, I always think of dinosaurs when I hear about the Keys. Ah, yes, me too. All right, let's look up here in Washington. Wow, that storm actually has a little bit more power than I thought it did. It's pretty significant up there on the Indian Reservation for some electrical activity. It's not huge, but it's more than I would anticipate in that cooler environment there. Idaho, you have a pretty good sized storm there. It looks like it's right at the Washington line, Lewiston over to the what is that name? Nez Perez Clearwater National Forest. Hell's Canyon, well, that's a bad area to have a storm because of the fire danger. So Hell's Canyon has a small little cell right now. And we look, it's going across Montana. Montana's not looking bad, but as that heat generates throughout the day, you and the Dakotas are going to have a pretty strong chance. Missouri, right now, you've got some small storms. The largest one is to the east of Springfield. It's moving towards the east-northeast. If I was in St. Louis, I would be on the lookout and have my weather radar handy because that cell could pop up there and be bad. Up on the coastline of Michigan that we always forget about on Lake Superior, they have a pretty good sized storm going on up there. So if you have your weather radio on up in Marquette, be weather aware. Most people forget that's America right there. A lot of people forget about that. And we talked about the storm over here in Vermont. Rutland, it's going to be moving over to Montpelier as it goes to the east northeast. Really kind of surprised that it has that much electrical activity. It shouldn't have that much heat to generate a storm today. So top down here into the south in Knoxville, well, there's not much going on except for to the west, to the east, everywhere but Knoxville. Chattanooga's got a small cell over on the other side of the Appalachia in Franklin. A little bit of a cell right there. Georgia, currently you are clear for electrical activity. It has not rained in this part of Knoxville in about 2 weeks. Let's update this. This is the power outage map. Once again, we're seeing that 22,099 is the highest, and it's in California, in Mono County and Riverside County, with some in Butte County. So there are currently 22,099 people in California without electricity. Let's take a little break here and look at the Earth in realty. Wendell says the Keys have 700 islands. Is it really that many? I don't think it's that many. Is it, Wendell? It's a lot. I know that. I know that I read a story on the Keys that said if you explored every island, it would take you over a year. So, oh, look, goodness gracious. I'm missing the time. It is almost top of the hour again. So this is our big animated blue perfect globe showing the wind. You can see Dexter spinning up there. Can't really make out anything here in the Pacific. Kind of get a little eye where the storm is there off of the Pacific coast. Down in Australia, it's looking like it's not going to be too bad of a day. So, all right, let's zip through here quick. Temperatures. Well, currently the hottest spot is in Phoenix at 112. We look at, well, where they're expecting the hottest in the lower 48, down from pretty much Southern California along the border all the way across Arizona into New Mexico. Right in the center, smack dab of the country, it's a code red, but the code orange extends from the Great Lakes all the way down through Texas into the Panhandle. And then for the rest of the country, with the exception of Florida, you're a code yellow for heat today. Florida, you are code orange and code red. So make sure to hydrate. I'm going to update this real quick to see if there was any recent earthquakes, and none in the lower 48 or nearby that have been reported. No volcanoes. Airflow, let's go to the big one. We'll look at the fires real quick because we're about out of time here. Look and see, Canada is still suffering from all those wildfires, and they are growing here in Colorado. This whole area, though, they're restricting air traffic. I just don't understand that. They're restricting air traffic. They're pretty much giving it the permission to go. Let's see if it'll draw real quick. This is the smoke map. We're about out of time. I didn't realize we were running this close. Well, okay. If it's not going to draw, we'll just skip to this one. This one should draw. There we go. Let me close these other windows. Maybe that'll help it. It's just not going to draw. Okay, we'll go to this one. We see all that smoke from Canada. Well, it's not pushing down as far into the lower 48, but it's still causing a problem, but it's terrible. Back up here in Pittsburgh, surprisingly, that's some very, very, very bad air. Denise says, just looked it up. The Keys have 1,700 islands. However, only about 43 are connected by bridges on the overseas highway. There is a national park down there. It's the most desolate one. And I think if you pay in advance, you can go camping on it. And I would love to do it, but you have to take a plane or a ferry or something, pay for a boat right out there. So see Dexter there. Part of why he's getting so screwed up, look at the Sierra dust that's circled back around and come out, and it's decreasing the activity because it's making it cooler. We talked about this last week, that the dust coming out of the Sahara is being pushed further to the south. So it's allowing the tropical area to get warmer. And we look at the air quality. Australia, you're doing pretty good on air quality. We'll cover this tomorrow. We'll go over all this tomorrow. Secret squirrel stuff. See if there's any. Well, look up here in DC. Look at all this activity. So, yeah, Wendell, I would assume some of this is probably activity for ice. So, all right, well, I got to get out of here. I'm running out of time. Everybody have a great day. Thank you for allowing me in Australia to tickle your ears and in Jurg's radio. Matter of fact, we just signed off with them. So thank you to everybody. We appreciate your time. Come see us again tomorrow. There will be a show tonight after the live eviction on CBS Big Brother. Harley and I will have it all for you at around 10 p.m. tonight. Everybody have a great day. I will see you tonight.